The Atlantic forest is home to 5% of all the world's animal species, and today, many of these animals are endangered. Scientists say they are working hard to protect these species, but deforestation and polarized politics have only complicated the issue. CCSU News reporter Aniya Pouncey tells us what experts are doing to save these animals and what the future holds for these conservation efforts.
Atlantic forest expert Celio Jesus de Sousa and professional wildlife photographer Emilio White said that deforestation played the biggest role in the initial endangerment of the animals.
The deforestation of the Atlantic forest is the first cause of animal endangerment of the Atlantic. Because animals have to leave and find shelter somewhere else, a process of cutting and burning the trees is done in the Atlantic, which causes migration of the animals.
What is happening in the forest due to the fact only the 7% left of the total.
The cultural practices of animal hunting has substantial impact when it comes to the conservation of animals in the region. This practice is known by locals as predatory hunt. Expert Celio Sousa says there's a social urgency in Brazil when it comes to the endangered animals to preserve their livelihood and habitats.
Because of technological advancements in the internet, people are aware of what is going on. The people that do practices like predatory hunting know what they are doing and still continue to do it. These are different than the indigenous who had to hunt for survival. It's more of a cultural practice to hunt now. A feline species called the ancilla is a vulnerable species due to these recent issues in the forest.
Professional wildlife photographer Emilio White says he has been watching the state of the animals in the forest for 15 years, and right now they seem to be in a good state due to reserves and conservation efforts. Conservation sites, such as Smithsonian National Zoo, have programs to preserve and repopulate endangered animals in the Atlantic.
Giant otter, and that is the only mammal that went to extinction here in the Atlantic forest. Just to give an idea, the jaguar, for example, 15 years ago in the Atlantic forest Iguazu Falls area, they were no more than 20 left. Now we are having like hundreds. So the population has recovered since then. So those are really good news. There are some species of parrots in the Atlantic forest. The woolly spider monkey that you can find here is a primate that is endemic to the Atlantic forest. So it's here and nowhere else. I think you have two species, the northern Atlantic forest spider monkey and the southern wuriki is the name. One species of sloth that is endemic to the Atlantic forest that also is an endangered species that only lives in Rio de Janeiro and Bahia state. Not like the monkeys are decreasing, the jaguars are decreasing, or deer is decreasing. I mean, all those animals, as I said, in national parks or in places which are quite well protected, are doing okay as far as you can see. In terms of animals, that they are not being like they used to be, probably insects. I mean, some people said 20, 30 years back, in summer, you will be able to see much more insects than now.
Despite the repopulation of some animal species, White says there is more that can be done to preserve the life of these animals.
In the Atlantic forest are probably one of the biggest touristic attractions in South America. One of them is the Iguazu Falls. Other big touristic attraction is Rio de Janeiro, for example. Most of the people who visit the falls here in Argentina or in Brazil, they don't know anything about the Atlantic, which is a shame. Because if you know in advance that you are coming to the Atlantic forest, well, you could do something.
Celio Sousa says that although many Brazilian citizens disagree with Brazil's last-term president, Jair Bolsonaro's environmental legislation, which included pro-hunting and pro-deforestation laws to become passed, Bolsonaro listened and passed laws based on the requests of his voters.
Bolsonaro himself didn't do anything specifically. His position as president allowed people to put out an option and a discourse that they already had. Bolsonaro himself wasn't the cause of the damaging and exploration of animals. His presidency actually allowed people to express that they wanted to hunt freely. This is an opinion that the majority of the population and community had.
Floresta Viva is an environmental education institution that promotes protecting the animals by advocating to visitors that hunting causes great harm to their welfare and environmental ecosystems. For now, repopulation efforts are indicating a positive outlook for these animals. Experts say the best way to keep animals alive is with our voices. Being aware of deforestation, cultural practices like hunting, and political dynamics helps so that they are not forgotten. Efforts are a call to action from local communities and global citizens to protect the forest and speak up when we see harmful legislative changes or hunting being done towards certain species. I'm Aniya Pouncey, and this is CCSU News.